Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm Kavit Halfway. The 10th annual Israeli Apartheid Week has kicked off, an international event that raises awareness about Israel's apartheid policies towards the Palestinians and to build support for the growing boycott, divestment and sanctions, or the BDS campaign. In this edition of the debate, we'll discuss why this event has gained popularity around the world and why perhaps at no other juncture in time today Israel has become more isolated than ever before. Does the threat of economic boycotts affect Israel's continued occupation of Palestinian territories? What should be done to end the Israeli occupation of Palestinian land? Those questions and more coming up in this edition of the debate.
Activists worldwide mark Israeli Apartheid Week, IAW, celebrating their 10 years of constant activities and raising international awareness with the aim of highlighting the many problems of Palestinians and their daily suffering. Activists say the situation is worsening for Palestinians in the West Bank and East Jerusalem Al-Quds due to the Israeli separation war, alarming rate of demolition of Palestinian houses and the escalation of building illegal Israeli settlements.
This week we will hold activities around the world that portray how Israel is an apartheid state. We want to show the reality of Israel and that Israel is creating apartheid in the villages and cities of Palestine.
IAW spokesperson Zayed Al-Shuabi said that this year they will turn their focus on boycotting Israeli products.
The Israeli Apartheid Week began in 2005 and is now hosted by over 200 cities worldwide. So today we can consider this event one of the biggest in Palestine, which addresses the Palestinian issue and boycotting Israel.
The aim, according to the organisers, is to create an environment of equality for Arab Palestinian citizens in Israel, to end the occupation and confiscation of Arab lands, including the Golan Heights, the occupied West Bank, East Jerusalem Al-Quds and the Gaza Strip. They are further calling upon Tel Aviv to adhere to Resolution 194 in allowing Palestinian refugees the right of return to their homeland and to dismantle what they name the Apartheid Wall.
Israeli Apartheid Week is hosting coordinated activities nationally and internationally in order to educate people as to the worsening situation for Palestinians under the Israeli occupation. However, on the 10th year, organisers say that advocacy and awareness needs to be stepped up due to the worsening situation for Palestinians living under Israeli apartheid. Nell Burton for Press TV, occupied Ramallah.
You tune into the debate. Let me introduce our guest for this edition. Political commentator Randy Short joins us from Washington. We have President of the Middle East Research Center, Richard Hellman, who also joins us from Washington. Gentlemen, welcome. Richard Hellman, let me start with you. The aim of IAW, International Apartheid Week, is to educate people about the nature of Israel as an apartheid system and to build boycott, divestment and sanctions BDS campaign as part of the growing BDS movement. Has IAW educated you about these topics?
No, because I lived in Israel for 7 years and I know better. I know there is no apartheid in Israel, and the boycott, divestment and sanctions movement is illegal, unethical, immoral and ineffectual. I lived in Israel as a Christian, Bible-believing Christian, not even a resident, and I had all the rights, and everybody I knew had all the rights, more civil rights and more human rights than anywhere else in the Middle East. Christians, Muslims, and Jews, along with visitors and pilgrims and tourists. Many more human rights in Israel than any place else in the Middle East, and also a much more secure situation as compared to all the neighboring countries, which are sadly in turmoil, chaos, and civil war.
Randy Short, do you agree with our guest?
Absolutely not. And not that I've been to Israel, but to say that there's freedom for 1.7 million people who are being starved to death in Gaza, for the people who are on the West Bank, who are occupied and suffering apartheid, as well as, not, oh please, I didn't interrupt you. In particular, this is a white man who's talking about being in Asia on land that belongs to Arabs and how things are wonderful, when yet so-called Israeli Arabs are not voting. They don't feel that the country is fair to them. So there's a fantasy world. And in particular, when we talk about this whole Christian fraud that's perpetrated in this country, where they talk about this Judeo-Christian relationship without talking about the fact that the Talmud is the influence, it's a dominant authoritative text in Judaism that says that Jesus Christ is in hell. I'm wondering what kind of Christians believe that the Son of God is in hell. It's very relevant. It has everything to do with it. And you said you were a Christian, and so I spoke to it. You step on a white supremacist lie that's been used in South Africa.
You don't know what you're talking about.
You know what? I don't need to go. My family was owned as slaves by Jews in this country, and I'm as much a Jew as the people that you hung with down in Israel. I do know what I'm talking about, and I know my own genealogy. You might not know it, but I do.
Are you African American?
African American means many things, the same way Anglo-American means many things. Yes, I am, but that does not exclude what my heritage is.
Wonderful.
And of course, you may. What does black mean?
You should come to Israel.
Are you white? What does white mean? If I go to Israel, my friend,
it doesn't matter. If you come to Israel,
I know people who've been to Israel.
If you come to Israel,
what about the tens of thousands of people who've been protesting against the racism in Israel?
Come to Israel.
Israel will treat me well, but what about the Palestinians, the original people who are on the land there? What about I'll go to Israel,
but
were
not the original
can I go to the West Bank?
History.
Can I go to Gaza? I know plenty of history, and I have more education than you do.
Yes.
You don't know me. And by the way, Dr. Short has several graduate degrees.
Maybe
you do too.
You have to go on.
It is about education. You just said I didn't know history, and I'm a historian. Yeah, but there are a lot of people in Israel on the ground that don't know about the occupation.
Come study Israel on the ground, Brother Short.
I accept your offer. I accept
there is no occupation.
Brother, but I will see what's there. There is an occupation. You can't deny that, sir.
There is no.
You can't deny that.
First you'll find, Brother Short, that there is no occupation because Israel has the best legal right in international law from the San Remo Treaty and the Palestine Mandate under the League of Nations, neither of which were ever abrogated, and these gave the right of close settlement of the land to the Jewish community in all of historic Israel, with due respect for the rights, political and religious rights of others. So Israel,
when many of the nations of the world were still occupied by Europeans and did not have the right because they were dominated by colonialism and oppression by Western countries. They are occupying. You can deny that, but did you go to Ramallah? Did you go to Jenin?
No, they're not.
Were you in Gaza?
Occupying.
And why didn't you go?
Yes,
and why aren't you calling for an end of sanctions and the embargo and the blockade against Gaza?
Brother Short,
those people are dying there.
Brother Short, I went to those places, and the people there in Jenin, in Ramallah, even in Gaza City, they live better with more clean, chlorinated, tested water. Their living standard is higher than Arabs and the rest of the Middle East and the world. Their educational levels higher.
Well, that's when you destroy countries like Libya and destroy places like Iraq, then you do have those things. But these countries have been destabilized by the presence of the Zionist state of Israel, which is now called the Jewish state of Israel.
Wait a second.
I'm not mixing. I'm not mixing.
Wait a second.
I'm not mixing.
Let me agree with you.
You can't have one without the other.
Let me agree with you.
The instability that's brought to the region by the existence of this state undermines stability in the area.
Well, it seems like Richard Hellman is agreeing with you there, Randy Short. But Richard Hellman, I'm curious why you picked out water.
Let me agree with you for a minute.
Wait, 1 second. Richard Hellman, let me at least
get... I want to agree with you that...
Let me get one statement in here as a question. Before you continue, Richard Hellman, why did you choose water as a point to bring up here when it comes to the occupied territories?
Oh, because environment and water are my specialities. I wrote the U.S. environmental laws, water, clean air, and so forth. Then I went and did the same for Israel, and later I defended to the United Nations that Israel had done a more than satisfactory job of protecting the water and the environment and the human living condition and all aspects of the environment, public health, and quality of life for the Palestinian Arabs and other Arabs in, like the Arab citizens
but
of
when
Israel.
They drop 500
and I justified that
why would Richard
to UN governing bodies.
They may have good water, but they get bombed.
Well, Richard Hellman, why would the visiting president of the European Parliament?
Phosphorus.
Why would the visiting president of the European Parliament?
I want to answer that.
Well, let me
want to answer.
Let me tell you what the visiting president of the European Parliament, Martin Schulz, said.
Of the European.
He said that Israel is controlling water resources in the occupied territories in Gaza. Why would he say that? Which is the fact, by the way.
He lied. Either he was misinformed or he lied. He went to Ramallah, and without checking anything, he took the Palestinian line from Ramallah and he repeated it in the Knesset. Now,
they killed
as a matter of fact, I have studied
people,
it.
A disproportionate number of them
professionally.
Children. I mean, so who cares if the water was clean if it's got baby blood in it?
What about the children? Pardon me.
Well, let me get
out the children that get shot by the border guards and the children that were killed during Kasleed and the other war in 2006. You know, please.
Wait a moment.
I respect the fact that you're doing something around water, but what about the fact that not everybody's getting what they deserve? They can't. You can't have the wall and the checkpoints and what happens in Hebron to the Palestinians, where folks go and they even attack Christians and burn their churches. So this is not a myth.
Wait a moment.
I'm glad you had a Walt Disney trip. I want to go too, but I want to see the real thing.
Short,
I would love to go to Israel.
Brother Short,
go ahead, Richard Hellman.
Brother Short, you must come. You must come. You can't venture an opinion until you've been there to see what's happening. I've been to Hebron repeatedly, and both the Jews and the Christians of Hebron live in a good condition, and usually it's live and let live. They may not love each other, but there was a Jewish community for 3,000.
I'm ecumenical. I care about Muslims, not just Christians and Jews.
They are doing
Muslims
fine. They are the best.
Jesus says love everybody.
Yes, I understand. I'm trying to tell you. Yes,
I want to go on the ground.
Yes, I agree.
And I want to hear them
Muslims
tell me that they're fine.
Yeah,
well, let's talk about the other aspect
Absolutely. I can take
let's
you
talk about the other aspect of the Israeli Apartheid Week.
You know what they'll tell you? Well, they will tell you.
Richard Hellman, let's talk about the other aspect of Israel Apartheid Week. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
There is no apartheid in Israel because they all go to the hospitals and other services.
This week started back in 2005, and it has gained momentum up to now.
And they need to
Randy Short, let me ask you this.
Have you seen the
right
wall?
of return.
Let me ask you this.
Have you, hey, Brother Short, have you seen what taken?
Have you seen what you're calling the wall?
It's about land, my brother.
Okay, let's talk about the other aspect of Israel Apartheid Week. The other focus of this is the BDS movement. Randy Short, I'd like to ask you this, because this is gaining a momentum and some traction. It was dismissed in the beginning, and we could see it. I could cite some examples, and maybe you could convince our guests there that it is being effective. For example, Agrexco, which was Israel's former largest exporter of agricultural produce, entered liquidation towards the end of 2011 because of this movement. This boycott fears is bubbling over. We have the largest cooperative in Europe, for example, the Cooperative Group in the UK, which introduced a policy to end trade with companies that source products from Israel's illegal settlements. Randy Short, if you can explain why the BDS movement is proving to be successful to Richard Hellman.
This is all bigotry.
Go ahead, Randy Short.
Bigotry? I thought it was my turn. Now that's bigotry when I don't get my chance. It might be my color. But I hope he's going to treat me like a brother. Let me finish. The BDS, the boycott and disinvolvement movement is among people in America who recognize that our media lies to us. Many of our religious leaders, in particular Christian Zionists, have lied to us about what's happened in Israel. What we were told was a land without a people for a people without a land, in reality, is a genocide without perpetrators for a perpetrators without a genocide. That is what Israel has become. And so people are learning about what's being done to people. They're tired of the wars. They see the connection between the wars in Iraq and in Libya and in Syria and in Lebanon. And they see the instability, as well as they see that Israel's involved in human trafficking and blood diamonds until that was illegalized, and organs being taken from people. And folks are saying, how is this the Holy Land for the Jewish people when they don't see holiness? In fact, they see the opposite of holiness. And so if you're a Christian like me, where the Bible teaches me I cannot steal, I cannot kill, I cannot bear false witness against my neighbors, and yet this has been done against the Palestinian people, going all the way back to the Sykes-Picot Treaty and to today, that people are beginning to realize that they've been lied to. And it is not that they're against there being a homeland for Jews, but they want it to be based on peace and justice, and not brutalization of the Palestinians and other people. And this has not been part of the Israeli project. It has gotten more extreme with monsters like Avigdor Lieberman and Ariel Sharon. And this thing has been hallmarked by things like Jenin, like the people Dar Yassin, and other atrocities against the Palestinians that has always been represented to us in the West, that these crazy Arabs just hate Jews, when that was not the situation, where Jews and Muslims lived side by side, and Christians, and this changed after 1948.
Well, let's since you mentioned Ariel Sharon, I'd like to get Richard Hellman's reaction here. Richard Hellman, can you give me a reaction to what Ariel Sharon has said? One second, Richard Hellman. I'd like to get a reaction to what Ariel Sharon has said. Everybody has to move, run.
I'll tell you about. I know it.
1 second. Let me just get a reaction to this statement, then add your comments. Ariel Sharon has said
Ariel Sharon.
Everybody
you want to
has
hear
to
about
move,
Ariel
run,
Sharon?
and
I'll
grab.
tell you about him.
Richard Hellman, let me just ask you a question about this. I'd like to get your reaction to the statement by Ariel Sharon.
What about
Richard Hellman?
What about General Sharon?
Yes.
What about
he has said
Sharon?
Everybody has to move, run, and grab as many hilltops as they can to enlarge the settlements, because everything we take now will stay ours. Everything we don't grab will go to them. That's what Ariel Sharon has said. Now, you can't tell me that there is outcry and criticism coming from the U.S., coming from the EU, coming from European countries about this illegal action that's taking place.
Okay?
Go ahead.
Let me tell you what he said. Let me tell you what he said, okay? Let me tell you what Sharon said. Sharon said to me that the Palestinian Arabs were taking 6 times as much of the land as the Israeli settlers. And what he did was he pulled out of Gaza completely, and he turned Gaza over to the Palestinian Authority. And the Palestinian Authority, or the PLO, it's the same thing, they could have turned Gaza into a paradise. They could have turned Gaza into something like Monaco or the Riviera or the Côte d'Azur. Instead, they turned it into a hellhole. And now, wait a second. Now Hamas runs Gaza, and the people are oppressed by Hamas, and they have no elected leaders. The Palestinian Authority was not elected. Hamas was elected, but there haven't been honest elections in 8 years. So this is all. The Palestinian Authority had every opportunity to create a paradise, and they created a hellhole in Gaza. And if you don't believe me, ask the Egyptians. The Egyptians are fed up with Hamas.
Many of the people in the Palestine Authority work with the Zionists against their own people.
No kidding.
It's a fraud, and the people of Palestine,
wait a minute.
They need leadership
let me agree with you
that
again.
will fight for them and stand up for them. But there's corruption on both sides. The corruption is in the fact that you can have have a colonial project like Israel be made, where European people decide what can be done with Arab land. That's the first corruption. And every system, even the Holocaust in Israel, in Europe, required that certain Jewish people go along with the Holocaust to benefit themselves. So you have Palestinians who are corrupt, who are supporting the Holocaust of their own people.
That's a lie.
That's what happens when people are oppressed. That is, no, it's not a lie, because I experience it here in the United States as an African American.
Okay, I got a couple minutes left here. Gentlemen, just a quick time out. A couple minutes left here. I'm sorry to tell you. 2 minutes left. Richard Hellman, you seem to like Ariel Sharon.
I have to tell you, let me tell you, the Palestinian Authority is corrupt.
I'm going to ask you for a reaction.
The Palestinian Authority is corrupt.
I'm going to ask you for a reaction from Ariel Sharon. It seems like you like him. He has said every time we do something, you tell me America will do this and will do that. I want to tell you something very clear. Don't worry about American pressure on Israel. We, the Jewish people, control America, and the Americans know it. Is that the relationship between Israel and the U.S.? 30 seconds.
No, it is not at all. In fact, today, President Obama has just appointed a very pro-Arab, pro-Muslim advisor in the White House, because President Obama is sending Secretary Kerry to lean on Israel, to pressure Israel to give up, to give up. Oh, please. Oh, please, Brother Short.
You didn't know that? Yes, it's a fact.
What kind
Just
of
because you're
historian
uninformed doesn't mean I'm wrong.
This is ridiculous.
You know, I haven't belittled you, but you need to go back and check the man's genealogy. So, no, that's a fact.
This is absurd.
It's not absurd.
I have to tell you
you're absurd that you think that Israel is a paradise on earth for people that are Palestinian. That's interesting. And Sharon is a human rights violator, a war criminal from Shatila and Sabra, that he never spent 1 minute in jail for what he's done. And you're calling him a hero. What kind of Christian are you? Oh, I forgot about South Africa and slavery in America. I think I know after 400 years what kind of Christian you are. And for you to call me absurd, for you to come and speak, even if you've been to Israel, there should have been a Palestinian to come and speak. If someone's going to rebut me, let it be someone who knows, whose blood is from the land there, to tell me that I'm wrong to say that Palestinian people are being oppressed. They're the victims of slow genocide, just as sure as I'm sitting here, and it's wrong. And that's why BDS and other people's eyes have been opened, that something must be done to save the Palestinians. Something has to be done to get us off of this war path where we're fighting all of these countries for Israel. We need to think about here, about Detroit, about Newark, about Camden, about New Orleans, about West Virginia.
I'm sorry, I got to jump in. We're just out of time. I do apologize. Randy Short, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. I think that's the most that two guests got into a 23 minutes of the debate. Political commentator Randy Short from Washington, thank you so much. And President of the Middle East Research Center, Richard Hellman, thank you so much for your thoughts. And thank you for watching another edition of the debate. From me, Kaveh Taqvay, and the entire team in the capital, Tehran, it's goodbye.